mother, wife,
Air Force veteran,
gun rights advocate.
This is Stacy on the Right. Here's your host, Stacy Washington.
Well, hello there. Thank you for being with us. We have a lot to dive into tonight, and I want to start off, oh my goodness, welcoming back to the show, Dan Varroney, economic growth strategist, keynote speaker, founder and CEO of Potomac Core, author of Rethinking Economic Growth. Dan, welcome back.
I'm thrilled to be back. Thank you for having me back on your show.
Oh, it's good to have you. We have a lot to dive into, and I would especially want to go into your writing. You wrote a piece for the Washington Examiner, and in this article, you are talking about the Board of Peace reaching an agreement to disarm Hamas. I believe that's the article. Tell us, what did you write about?
No. That's not what it's about. It's about. It's titled "Kevin Warsh just pulled back the curtain on America's economic progress."
Ah, okay, that's the one, because it's my link is opening me up to that story. So you tell us more about what happened, because this is the Fed chair, Fed Reserve Board voted to keep interest rates the same. We were all hoping for a lowering of the interest rates, and apparently some of them even voted to raise them.
Yes, three members of the Federal Open Market Committee, interestingly enough, voted to raise them. And what's interesting, Stacey, is that we're still in the middle of an energy price shock. Why anyone would be thinking about raising interest rates in the middle of an energy price shock is just staggering. It makes no sense, because 60% of the increased prices that we're experiencing today are from the energy price shock. So when the energy price shock goes away, and it will at some point, those prices will go down. So why are we going to raise interest rates, right? Just didn't make any sense.
I'm just sitting up thinking, okay, so Americans were hoping the rates would go down even further. And the reason for that is because they'd like to buy a house. They would like to buy a condo. They'd like to buy a rental property and earn some money on the side. They'd like to help their kid buy their first home, condo, etc. There's so many good things that could be done, and we're not getting to do much.
You know, high borrowing costs are creating pressure for everyone you just mentioned, the home buyers, the small businesses, companies considering new investments. I think at some point, and I'll say in the next 6 or so months, the Federal Reserve is going to look at rate cuts. So a few things I would say about Kevin Warsh. First thing is he's not into central government planning of the economy from the Federal Reserve. That's not what he's doing. He's rethinking everything. He's created 5 task groups, including to how we're getting data, how we're defining inflation, what measures we're using, and I think that he is going to announce serious reforms. And I think when those reforms are announced, I think that he is going to be building a case to cut rates. I honestly believe that.
So I actually think he's our best hope for lower interest rates, because he comes from the world of investing in business. He himself has had a stellar career doing that. He's very wealthy. You know, he's successful. It's I think it's different with those who are there and they're kind of coming from a place of, I don't want to say lack. I think they all do very well for themselves. That's how they get on the Fed Reserve Board. But I still think it's easier for him to have an understanding of what Americans are going through if he's been successful and he had to build that himself, and he did. So I had high hopes. I just thought we might be able to do it now, but maybe it's because of everything that's going on in the Middle East. Like, what would be the reason why they felt like that was bad?
So I think that he's in the job maybe 8 or 9 weeks. I think he's still collecting data and information. I think he's waiting for his task groups to report out. And clearly the uncertainty in the Middle East also plays a role in that. But something I really want to emphasize is that with all this uncertainty, the American people are still out spending money, right? Retail sales are up, which is encouraging. People are out buying. That's encouraging. And what I would tell you is that as I wrote this article for the Washington Examiner, some things that were fascinating to me. In June, we saw headline inflation down. We saw core inflation down. We saw wholesale prices come down. Today, the PCE price index was released. That's down. Initial employment claims rose slightly under 200,000 again, which is also very encouraging. And layoffs remain exceptionally low. And what I would say to you is that there's a lot of capital investment by businesses, which means that we're going to be headed toward a strong productivity cycle, which means higher pay, which means better quality of life for many of us. And you don't hear this in the media, right? You hear it's all bad, it's all horrible. And I'm telling you, I look at this data every morning, then at midday, then at night, I'm just saying things are really better than they're reported.
Yeah, and there is a lot of growth. I see so many new buildings going up around here. And I'm talking about small business efforts. These are not new Walmarts and stuff. They're new small businesses. And so to me, those new business starts or businesses that were previously renting in a building that are now building their own building, that's a sign of growth in the economy.
You're absolutely right. And some of that reflects the big, beautiful bill, the 100% expensing for both plants and equipment. And that has encouraged small businesses to really take the plunge. And in my research, day to day, week after week, what I'm learning is that small businesses said, we're not going to get hamstrung by the uncertainty. We're going to make the investments. We're going to take the plunge. Small businesses are also investing in technology and AI to try and get as much of a leg up as they can.
Okay, so that leg up is very important. So let's delve a little further into Kevin Warsh and his. I mean, obviously he's still very new there, but he did give a speech when he took over, and he talked about the direction he wanted to take the country in and the things he wanted to do. How do you see things developing now that he's there? He's installed. He has no pushback. He's in charge.
Well, I watched his entire press conference yesterday, and honestly, I thought he was masterful. So the prior 2 or 3 Fed chairs were all about forward guidance. The business media and the markets want forward guidance. They want to know where things are going from a Federal Reserve perspective. At the end of the day, we're not in the central planning business. The Federal Reserve is there to set monetary policy, not to run the entire economy. And I thought that Kevin Warsh has made that quite clear from the beginning of his tenure all the way through his press conference yesterday. What he's done is just said, the economy is running itself and it's doing very well. There's impressive business investment. There's significant increases in productivity. And he's very pleased, despite the fact that there's still underlying inflation and underlying high prices. But he's pleased generally with the performance of the economy. I think that he set the right tone, loose with his words yesterday. I think he was measured, he was disciplined, and he did what a very good Fed chair did, what he's supposed to do. So, Stacy, I want to give you an example of what I mean of effectiveness. So when we were coming into the 1990s and this takeoff of technology, right, this is when PCs were taken off and servers, Alan Greenspan was chair of the Federal Reserve, and he really thought through the types of things the Federal Reserve could do to help facilitate that and support that in a non-central planning type way. And what Alan Greenspan did was really set the economy up for, I think, a 25-year run. What I am confident of is that Kevin Warsh is setting up our economy for yet another 25-year run. This guy knows what he's doing. He's wicked smart, and I have a lot of faith in him.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that, because not lowering the interest rates today, it kind of feels like, okay, we wanted the other guy out because he just wouldn't lower the rates, and it was more or at least it felt like a personal vendetta between him and the president as opposed to good monetary policy. And now you have Kevin Warsh in there, and they're not going to do a reduction. And I'm kind of like, oh, well, this is what we've been waiting for. Like, we've been waiting for him to get in. So there's a little bit of, like, people are kind of like on edge. They're like, why can't this happen now? But you're saying he needs more time to get the lay of the land.
Yeah, he needs more time to get the lay of the land. He's still collecting information. What I can tell you is that by all measurements, he is doing what he should at this point. We should all feel more confident, far more reassured than we were under the last Fed chair. You know, and I want to tell you something. I have a phrase that I use every so often. It's called years of tradition unhampered by progress. I felt like under Jerome Powell's 8-year tenure, we were years of tradition unhampered by progress. We're in an economy that has massive changes. Those changes are coming from all types of technological advances. The nature of the workforce, the type of workers we're going to need, global competitiveness. We need to have someone in the Federal Reserve role like Kevin Warsh that can really think all of those complexities through and make sure that this economy is on the right footing, and that we'll not just get through it, but we'll move through it well and we'll thrive.
Oh, that's a tall order. So I do feel more confidence in him than I had in Jerome Powell. And because there's no personal kind of aside to this, there's no disagreement between he and the president, that means the focus can be on the economy. I really felt like there was it's...
No, I think you're right. I think that Trump and Warsh's predecessor, that there is a drift there, right, between them. But I think that there is not. I think that philosophically speaking, they are on the same page. I know the president wants rate cuts, but I think that Kevin Warsh has got to build trust with his Federal Open Market Committee. He's got to use data to convince and compel them to come along. And then when I think he does that, I think there's going to be rate cuts. But I'm going to tell you something. There are all these markets measurements that, there's a 64% chance that the Federal Reserve is going to raise rates rather. And Stacy, that's fascinating to me because Kevin Warsh said nothing of the kind yesterday. Nothing. There's nothing compelling the media or the markets that why would you come to that conclusion? Well, prices are up. Well, okay. The PCE, which is the Fed's key measure, is down. The CPI and PPI are down. Why are you saying that? So it's interesting. Kevin Warsh is doing the right things.
Okay, well, that helps. Yeah, that helps. Thinking of it that way. Anything else that you'd like us to know? We're so grateful that you could join us tonight, Dan.
Here's what I'd like you to know is that I think that the economy is in much better shape than many of us realize. And I want that to be my closing thought tonight. Today, we heard about the gross domestic product, the GDP number, grew less than expected at 1.5%. That understated the story. Our private economy grew a lot more strongly. Our businesses are continuing to invest, and workers largely kept their jobs. So while people are feeling uncertainty, they're not acting defeated. They are, in fact, outspending. The economy is in a better place than most believe it is. We should feel confident and believe that 6 to 12 months from now, the economy will be even stronger and our economy will be thriving.
Well, I love leaving on that note. That's the note we'd like to leave on. if we could pick, we would choose that one. Everyone, you can read his book, which is Rethinking Economic Growth. It's available wherever books are sold, but Amazon's the best place to get it fast. It says I get it in less than 2 days if I order in the next 3 hours and 23 minutes. And Dan Varroney is economic growth strategist and keynote speaker and founder and CEO of Potomac Core. You can find out more by going to potomaccore.com. Dan, thanks for coming on.
A pleasure. Have a wonderful evening.
You too. Have a great evening.